Ayo, and what is up, gang? Thank you so much for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is Monday night, January the 22nd, and we were planning on coming here to celebrate Raw's 25th anniversary, as it did start off with a bang and then fizzled out quite quickly, and we have got a lot to say about tonight's very underwhelming and disappointing Monday Night Raw anniversary show, and we are going to do it in farce right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of YouTube, baby, where we bring the hammer down when it is needed. The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and the hammer is about to fall. Let's do this.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, let's do this one. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, is my trusty companion, my loyal tag team partner, and most importantly, the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones, Blue the Snowball. And we are here to talk with you guys about tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Now, before we get started, it's okay if you enjoyed tonight's show. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're an ass or that you don't know anything about wrestling or anything like that. It's okay. I will forgive you for not understanding what you really seen tonight, because much like myself, after that first opening segment of Monday Night Raw and a few segments to follow, you were probably drunk, like me, on enjoyment of wrestling. It's not something that we're accustomed to getting on a Monday night, especially between the hours of 8 and 9:30. Now, you were on a wrestling high, just like everybody else, because the show started off fantastic. But what the hell happened? I don't understand how the WWE can be so uncreative, could be just so blindly and blatantly boring. You went out and advertised to the world repeatedly, this person's coming, Trish Stratus is coming, right? The Godfather will be there, The Undertaker will be there, Stone Cold will be there. You advertised all of these people that were going to be there, and with the exception of D-Generation X and Austin, you did nothing with anybody. So what was the point of having them? Essentially, we all tuned in to see all of our favorites from the old days stand there, be called out by name, and stand there. Why would you have Lillian Garcia come to Monday Night Raw to celebrate the 25th anniversary and not do the announcing? Why? Does that make any sense to you? That's only mistake number one, and we're just talking now about the announcing. Are you out of your fucking mind? What kind of logic is that? That's just the tip of this tremendous iceberg that they threw at us tonight. That is the theme of everything else I'm going to talk about tonight. You have the Godfather there to announce that he's married? The pimp of all pimps. He's married. He's settled down. He's done. So then why have him show up as the Godfather at all? Stupid. Why did we have the Peep Show? Did anybody ever give a shit about Christian, even as a performer? Not really. Are you a big Christian fan? Did you give two shits about Christian after Edge left? No. He was a pity case, just like Rey Mysterio. Nobody gave a crap about Christian. But for the 25th anniversary of Raw, we are going to bring back the Peep Show. You got Brother Love there. You don't give him the segment? Maybe an interview segment? You got Chris Jericho, which, yeah, was absolutely great. One of the better parts of tonight. Wow, we saw Chris Jericho while he's been wrestling in New Japan, show up on Monday Night Raw to sing with Elias, which was fantastic, in his Alpha Club t-shirt. Great! But why not do a highlight reel then? The highlight reel is much more relevant than the Peep Show ever was. God damn! How can I think of these things and the WWE creative staff just absolutely was lazy and unproductive? The Raw 25th anniversary show couldn't have been written before this morning. How do you fill time with having all the general managers announced and you have all the women's wrestlers of relevance announced, right? These are all the women that have made Raw great. Where was Beth Phoenix? Where was Lita? Where was Victoria? Those three names are synonymous with Monday Night Raw. Those three names were across the ring from many of the other girls that were up there. But I gotta see Kelly coming out looking like a living Muppet. She looks like that Muppet from Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. The girl that plays the bass. You know who I'm talking about. None of the girls, even my all-time favorite, Trish Stratus, most of them came out, they don't even look like themselves anymore because they've had their faces stretched all retarded. So were you happy to see them? Do they look the way you remember? You were going to have Trish Stratus come out. Why not have her put over somebody in the women's division? Everybody in the women's division looks like crap outside of Asuka and Alexa Bliss. Why not have Alexa do a promo in the ring talking about how she's the greatest of all time, and then you have the women come out, interact, do something? Even in the case of the Stone Cold segment in the beginning, as great as it was, first of all, he didn't say a word. He didn't say one word. He didn't even say what. The crowd said it for him, but I was kind of looking forward to seeing him tear down Vince McMahon. Talking about how, oh, you think you're the only one. What? No, he stood there, stared at Vince McMahon, stared at everybody, had very awkwardly drank their beers, and then we all got what we were waiting to see. He stunned Shane McMahon, he stunned Vince McMahon, everybody was happy. Yeah, it was a great moment. But Austin didn't even speak. You didn't even let him come back out later and maybe play with the fans or do a segment backstage. Talk about backstage. There was more stuff happening backstage at the Barclays than there was happening at the Manhattan Center. Having the show on 2 locations tonight was an absolutely huge mistake. Logistically, sure it's possible, but with the creativity that is lacking, I had no faith in them booking 2 simultaneously decent shows. It was a statistical impossibility for this to really go down good. If you paid money, and when I looked, I was intending on taking part in tonight's festivities one way or another. So I looked into the pricing of the tickets. Now, as a real wrestling fan, one that has been watching wrestling for 35 years, I wanted and was making the conscious decision to go to the Manhattan Center. If I was going to choose one of these 2 venues, that's where I'd want to be. I thought for sure that's where some of the bigger moments of the night would be. But if you went there tonight, as far as Twitter can tell, you are not a happy camper. It doesn't come off that way so much on TV, because the WWE don't let you see when things go wrong. You know what you got if you went to the Manhattan Center tonight? You got cruiserweight matches. You got cruiserweight matches in between commercial break. That when it went to commercial, the guys would fight for you at the Manhattan Center, and when they would come back from commercial, the guys would brawl to the back, and then effectively come back out when they go back to commercial, as if they were fighting backstage for the whole 15 minutes that they were live on Raw, and everybody in the Manhattan Center had to be like this. The ring was in the middle of the stage, as it always is. It was great to see the Manhattan Center again, set up that way. Nostalgia was great, but nobody was staring at the ring all night. Everybody was looking at the screens behind them. If you looked on Twitter and you saw anything going on, you saw the crowd. There was video of the crowd getting restless. They were nearly riotous. They were chanting bullshit. They were chanting, "We want wrestling." They were getting absolutely ridiculous in there. And I don't blame them. They paid upwards of $500 plus to sit in the Manhattan Center tonight and legitimately get nothing. nothing. You're going to tell me that Bray Wyatt match versus Matt Hardy was something for that crowd? You can let me know if you've seen it, because when we watched at home, we didn't see shit. We saw Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt come out, right? We saw both their entrances in the Manhattan Center, and I'm sitting there thinking, why are they doing this match right now? They've been slowly building towards something. Bray Wyatt didn't even give a shit enough to come out and confront Matt Hardy last time he was on Monday Night Raw, but now we're having this match. Seemed impromptu to me, even though there's some sort of a story behind it. Their first encounter went down in the Manhattan Center. We didn't see it. They went to commercial, they came back, the match was over within minutes. So if anybody can enlighten me, if you were actually at the Manhattan Center and you give a shit enough about remembering what you went through tonight, let me know what the hell happened, because I have no idea. This show was just wrong on so many levels. How can you have so many stars under one roof and still book Heath Slater and Rhino versus Titus Worldwide? Essentially for the Dudley Boys to come out and put them through a table. Yes, that at least they actually used the Dudley Boys to the best of their ability. But wouldn't it have been better if after they destroyed Heath Slater and put him through the table, the Revival showed up then and just lay waste to the Dudley Boys? Why did we have to bury the Revival tonight for the sake of some bullshit team-up between the Balor Club and DX? And while we're on that topic, I'm going to really nitpick since they got my panties all in a bunch, and the Too Sweet thing was not a DX thing. The DX was the crotch chop. Sure, they did their little click, wolf sign, whatever. But the Too Sweet was an NWO. DX was Suck It. So, by forming together with the Balor Club just based off of a hand gesture, which made absolutely no sense, the Balor Club should have destroyed DX. The WWE doesn't know how to create moments anymore. Where was the controversy? Sure, we got The Miz beating Roman Reigns, and we'll get to that in a little while, but you had the opportunity and all these legends under your roof to make new stars. And you didn't do that. You gave us your standard episode of Monday Night Raw, not really changing things that much, and just showed us everybody. Sure, I enjoyed the segments with the APA in the back. In fact, as I was watching them, I was thinking, you know what, this is kind of what's missing nowadays. They don't do enough of this. Continuous backstage continuity. Showing people, not in catering, but actually interacting in the back. Getting people over in that manner. It didn't bother me too much, because at least they were being used. In a, like the Dudleys, in a proper capacity. But essentially, it was wasted. It was wasted. Everything tonight was almost a waste. It's not that I didn't like anything on tonight's show. There were a few things that I did like, but nothing makes sense, and everything points to something else that I don't like, even though I did like the result. Case in point, The Miz and Roman Reigns. They had a good match. They had a good match for the Intercontinental Championship. I did not expect the outcome, as The Miz would come out with the win at the end of this thing and become the 8-time Intercontinental Champion, only second on the list behind Chris Jericho as the most times being the Intercontinental Champion in history. And that's absolutely fantastic, because nobody wants to see Roman with the belt. That's great, right? But let me drop some knowledge on you guys, and I'm sorry to be a party pooper in this particular situation, but all this means is that Roman Reigns is definitely going to be in the Royal Rumble. Not that having the Intercontinental Championship wouldn't have allowed him to take part in that match anyway, but he will definitely be in it now. And now that he's not the Intercontinental Champion, they need to provide him a path to Brock Lesnar. What is the path to the main event against a champion at WrestleMania? Do I even have to say it? You know. Am I writing something that nobody wants to read right now? Absolutely, but the writing, my friends, is on the wall. If it's not going to be John Cena winning this thing, it is going to be Roman Reigns. How are they going to have both of them in the ring and not have one of them win the way they've been booking these guys? It's absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised to see them end up being the last two. And no matter who wins, we all lose. This show was just a mess, for lack of a better word. I enjoyed the Elias segment, as always, because who wants to walk with Elias? This guy. The song was great. He's an absolute master manipulator. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand throughout the entirety of his segment. It was fantastic until, of course, John Cena comes out, but he was responding to Elias because he was talking some shit about John Cena in his song. And at first I was like, oh, great, here we go. But the Brooklyn crowd, which was on fire all night long, did not disappoint, and they greeted John Cena the way I would have. And in the end, Elias would end up getting the one-up on John Cena, ended up laying him out and leaving him lying in the ring. But all this means, again, down that bad path down the line, is that John Cena is going to be the one to eliminate Elias from the Royal Rumble. And Elias is one of my favorites to win the Royal Rumble. I want it to be either him or Shinsuke Nakamura. Those were my two favorites for this whole thing. And essentially, by picking this fight with John Cena and having the segment go down the way it did tonight, John Cena will get his revenge in the Royal Rumble this Sunday. Asuka definitely had a decent segment tonight. The women's match, I was not impressed with. I thought immediately that this 8-woman tag team match was going to be a rushed encounter, and it was not. It was allotted a lot more time than I thought it was, and the match was okay. The girls were pulling some good stuff. I liked the interactions with Nia Jax. Asuka was dominant, as she should be, and her team would end up winning. She was on a team with Mickie James and Bayley and Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks did most of the work in this match, and she was getting her ass beat, and then all of a sudden she won with the bank statement, which was great. But the story was not that. The story was what happened after, as that foursome was celebrating in the ring, and Asuka would just decide to kick the shit out of everybody, throw everybody over the top rope, and start dancing around in the ring. I was very, very much enjoying that segment. I was still riding the high of the Vince and Stone Cold opening segment, and I did like seeing them feature Asuka that way. It's definitely leading to her probably winning the Royal Rumble, but I'm still skeptical on that, because if they dump Ronda Rousey in this thing, there's always the chance that they will go with her to give her some sort of a reason to be built up and challenge possibly Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 34 coming up. But hopefully that's not the case, as I want Asuka to win this thing. It's befitting of her character. She's undefeated. It would be perfect for her to run through the entire roster of 29 other women and supplant her place in history as the first ever winner of the Royal Rumble, to go on and capture the title at WrestleMania, as she should, starting and launching her career with a Royal Rumble win, and then a subsequent WrestleMania moment will only elevate her to a status that pretty much no other female has, which is absolutely deserved by Asuka. So that part I did not mind too much. But that was essentially the best parts of tonight's show. Everything else was garbage. Everything else was garbage. Everything that I was seeing coming out of the Manhattan Center was making me sick. Sick to my stomach. Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler were falling asleep at ringside. They're sitting there doing commentary. They're falling asleep. If you don't believe me, follow me on Twitter. I believe I retweeted that picture. If not, I'll try to remember to do that after the show. But it's out there. Nodding off at the commentary booth because they had nothing to do for over an hour. They weren't calling the Cruiserweight action because it's not being filmed. And if they're sitting there falling asleep while these guys are flipping around in there, how good could it really have been? They probably weren't even allowed to still wrestle the Cruiserweight style. They had to probably wrestle the Raw style still. instead of giving the fans at the Manhattan Center at least something to care about. I don't understand the format of this show. Why it wasn't bumped back and forth from one venue to the other, one segment after the next, consequently following, so that we constantly got to see the Manhattan Center. I was looking so forward to being back in that venue tonight, even just on my TV, and props to them for making it look great, even going all out and putting the Ico Pro sign up there. But you barely were in the Manhattan Center all night long if you were watching at home. And if you were in the Manhattan Center, you wanted to kill somebody because you weren't seeing anything. You could have sat home and watched on screen. In the comfort of your own home, you could hear and see everything, no problem. Not with your back to a wrestling ring. You paid $500 to go see a wrestling show, yeah, you're back to the ring the whole night. How happy are you right now? These are the things that I see. Alright, you might not agree with me, you might think I'm being too hard on it. Oh, why aren't you just happy? It was a good show, we seen DX, we seen this, we seen that. Great, we seen it. But that's all we did, we seen it. They didn't really do anything. Why would they have Gallows and Anderson beat the Revival? Just for that moment, because we can't have DX associated with losers? I could give you the same exact scenario with the Revival that I did for the Dudleys. If you wanted to have this go down, at least have the Revival win the match and then get beat up by the Balor Club after, and then DX can celebrate and everybody can beat them up with their finishing moves and off they go, because at least they won the match. Essentially, by having them lose, you buried them even worse. I don't understand this show. Where were they trying to go? Sure, you made everybody happy tonight, and nobody's looking at the big picture as far as The Miz winning the championship. That was the biggest thing that happened tonight. The Miz won the Intercontinental Belt. Great. Now everything else is doomed to be fisted by the big dog. Unbelievable. Let me just scroll through. Oh, well. And you know what? It's sad, the fact that I even forgot about this, because they've been hyping it to no end, the fact that The Undertaker was going to be back tonight. And you say, well, you know, Nick, The Undertaker was at the Manhattan Center. Sure he was. What did he say? What did he say? He said nothing. He said the same thing everybody else pretty much said when he came out. Oh, Raw, 25 years, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And now, you know, I dig holes and I'm back to put people in their graves or whatever he said. But it was so confusing that even the King and JR didn't know what to make of it. They were like, is that a threat? Like, I don't know. What's he trying to say? I don't know. And then we went back to the Barclays. That was a useless segment. It was great to see The Undertaker. It was great to hear the music. You know, he looked good. I don't know if it was just the outfit, but he looked great. Excuse me. Still getting over that cold a little bit. Let me take a drink here, so I don't sound like a schmuck. But everybody was wasted. Everybody was wasted. That friggin' peep show segment. What was the point? To have somebody that nobody wants to see come out? Jason Jordan comes out, dominates all the time on the mic. The crowd is just burying him. Burying him. And we had this long, drawn-out peep show for Seth Rollins to hit Jason Jordan accidentally with his knee, to further along this breakup that couldn't happen any quicker. If it happened tomorrow, I would be grateful. Then you could put the tag team championships up in a tournament. If you could find some teams to wrestle in a tournament, or maybe make a few, and be done with it. Let's be done with this Jason Jordan thing. Have him detached from Angle, turn him heel. Let's do it. Let's do it. Because all he does is detract the show. He takes away from everything. And especially makes it worse when you put him on the peep show. Are you friggin' kidding me? Oh, DX was there. To do what? To show us how old they all look? They're dressed in the same gear. Shawn Michaels could barely run around. It starts to make the nostalgia thing wear its worth very quickly. It wears away fast when I'm looking at these guys and they just don't look like they used to. Everybody gets old. I'm getting older. I don't look exactly like I used to. I'm not saying that, that shouldn't happen or that I hate that, but the fact is it's just making me want to see them do what they do. And that whole finishing move bump fest at the end of that thing, it was awkward, it was weird, and it was forced. The whole DX segment was forced. Why couldn't they all have just come out together? Why did Shawn and Triple H have to have their own separate entrance? And then you have X-Pac come out, you didn't even give him his X-Pac song. What was the point of making him come out separately if at least you're not even going to do that? Oh my God, I'm picking on music, I'm picking on everything because this show sucked. This show sucked. The best part of this whole night was seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin give a Stone Cold Stunner to Vince McMahon. And I had somebody comment on my Raw 25 top 5 moments, right? Because in that video I explained to you guys that I didn't put Austin in my top 5. It's not because I don't like Steve Austin. I love Steve Austin. For moments like we got tonight. But essentially what we got tonight is the same exact friggin' moment that you always get from Stone Cold Steve Austin. So how do you choose one over the other? He's either coming out riding some kind of a truck or a tractor or a Zamboni or whatever vehicle of the week he's going to come out in and raise some hell. Or he's going to come out and stun whoever he's pissed off at this week. Every time it's a great segment, but it's usually followed by some good promo work, some good, jibba jabba back forth before the big... No, we got Steve Austin just staring at Vince McMahon and then stunning him. Best moment of the night. Best moment of the night. What do you guys think? Don't forget to let me know down below. Hit me up with some comments. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this video, and many of you guys are probably, really happy with tonight's episode, and that's good for you. I'm glad that you were able to find comfort and that you were able to find enjoyment in this. And I'm not going to try to tell you to not watch my show or to not watch the WWE and you're the problem and you're ruining the product. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm about. You can do and feel however you want about tonight's show. My job here on this channel, on this show, is to tell you what you might not be understanding. And why so many people, just like me, are not feeling wrestling the way they used to when it's produced by the WWE. There were endless opportunities tonight to make stars. I outlined right off the bat, the Revival thing, this was your night to make them stars. Why can't we have controversy? Real controversy. Imagine what I said. Imagine the Revival just laying everybody out. Leaving the tag teams of old in a pool and a table of, in a splintered mess of tables. I was going to say a pool of blood, but we can't do that on WWE anymore. And now when they come out, they generate heat. Everybody's going to be mad at them for beating up the Dudley Boys. And then you could have still did the same thing with DX. They could have showed up and taken out the Balor Club. They could have taken out DX, and you could have made tonight be all about the rise of the Revival. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you're one of those people that say hashtag fuck the Revival. That's fine too. It's not about the Revival. It's about the opportunities that were missed. You could literally insert anybody in there and figure out a way to get them over. Undertaker. You're going to have the Undertaker there. If you are indeed planning something with him, why not do it with somebody else? We've seen the Undertaker with Bray Wyatt. Why not have Matt Hardy come out and at least interact with the Undertaker? Not to challenge him. Or it's maybe like, bow down to him. Tell us a story in his Woken universe. The Undertaker's 4,000 spirit is 4,000 years old and his name is Ezekiel and this and that and whatever his crazy mind could come up with. And then have Bray Wyatt come out. And then you have the Undertaker just stand there between these two other psychopaths. Whatever. I'm just spitballing. But what I just came up with right there on the spot right now is a million times more creative than anything we got tonight. We got to see Michelle McCool come out tonight. Who cares? She came out great. You could have accomplished the same thing by cutting to them sitting at ringside before maybe a match, instead of wasting a solid 5, 6, 7 minutes of television time for each of these women to come out one after the other after the other. We got 2 pregnant women on the stage. Everybody else looks like a zombie version of what they used to be. And it makes me pine for the days of old. I want to try to forget that. I don't live and stay in the Attitude Era. It's not what I'm all about. I'm about moving forward. I want new. I want fresh. I want young, talented stars. People that I can get behind now that will be here 10 years from now. I don't want all these guys to start getting fed up because we're still talking about DX. We're still talking about The Undertaker and Austin. 25-year anniversary show is the perfect time to talk about these people. I understand that. But why not take this moment and use it to further the future? I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. What else can I even say about tonight? Let's just take another quick peruse over tonight's friggin' results. This way, I don't miss... I mean, the main event segment was a waste. It was an absolute waste. What did we see? We seen Braun Strowman get absolutely destroyed by Brock Lesnar as soon as he came out into the ring. We got nothing but chaos between the rest of them. Kane eats an F5, and then Braun Strowman leaves Brock Lesnar laying through the announce table. Classic Raw moment? No. Rushed Raw finish because they went way overtime? Absolutely. That couldn't have possibly been the plan. And while we're talking about that, how is it possible that the GM doesn't want an incident tonight that echoes what's been happening with Braun Strowman lately and has the entire Raw roster out there? I say entire loosely because it was really only the catering crew that they got back there, plus maybe like Elias and other notable faces that I seen. Maybe the Usos were out there. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention because it lost my interest. The nostalgia definitely wore off, and this was making no sense to me because these guys were all just standing there. They thought nothing to get in between Braun Strowman and Kane when they were staring each other down, but when the physicality actually started, everybody else, professional wrestlers, athletes that are supposed to be ready to fight at the drop of a hat, they're all just standing there watching. So why are they all out there? Everything in the Manhattan Center got so bad that the WWE rushed The Miz across town from Brooklyn to Manhattan to quiet that crowd down because they had nothing for them. That couldn't have been plan A. They didn't know they were going to send The Miz down there. That crowd was getting ridiculously savage. So they sent The Miz down to cool things up. They essentially had people sit there after listening to a 1-minute promo by The Undertaker and enduring a maybe 5-6 minute match with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, and then sat there and did nothing for the remainder of their evening, waiting for the DX Balor Club segment and the Gallows and Anderson match with. Are you kidding me? This is what you had? This had to be a last-minute rush job. They have absolutely lost track of everything that makes wrestling special. What makes wrestling special is not having legends show up. You know, what would Randy Orton's career be like if back in the 2000s the legends just showed up? Hey, tonight we got Ric Flair, and he comes out and woo, and then he goes away. Great, we saw Ric Flair, fantastic. But it was far more meaningful when Ric Flair was in there. Randy Orton was the legend killer, and he took him out. And then it was his mission to take out the next one, and the next one. You use the past to elevate the future. Tonight, you let the past reign supreme, and you pretended to allow it to elevate the future by sticking the Balor Club in with DX. But truly, all we did was see DX reign supreme. Right? We saw Stone Cold come out and without saying a word, own the crowd and show Vince and everybody else that not one other person besides Daniel Bryan gets a reaction like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why was Daniel Bryan there? Yeah, sure, he's been on Raw. A lot of his moments, the Yes Occupation. There was a lot of moments for Kevin Owens. He wasn't there. The Festival of Friendship took place there. He wasn't there. He was the Universal Champion following Finn Balor. He was the first one to actually have a legitimate reign. He wasn't there. You know what I mean? So, like, the logic gaps are tremendous here. I don't understand this show. And I'm angry at myself as well. Because after that first hour, I was actually like, wow, tonight might be a lot of fun. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to enjoy myself. And maybe I jinxed it. Because I've never felt my enthusiasm rush away so quickly. Everything about this show was just basic, cookie-cutter, WWE, lazy, uncreative garbage. I can't say it enough. How dare they go out of their way to bring in all this talent and then just have them come out and stand there like statues at a wax museum? Or just pile everybody in the back in one scene with the APA. MVP came back to Raw tonight. Did you even notice him sitting around the table until he took his glasses off? I think somebody told him, take your glasses off. The camera panned to him and nobody even reacted. Nobody at Raw gave a shit that MVP was sitting at the table in the back with the acolytes and the rest of the gang. Was it great to see Brother Love? Was it great to see Ted DiBiase? Was it great to see everybody that you love? It's always great to see them. But the fact that they essentially did nothing with them is unacceptable. Those were not Raw moments. Tonight, did we get a Raw moment or two? Barely. Barely. You're going to remember tonight's show? Barely. Because they're not going to let you. Because before you know it, the next milestone's going to hit and they're going to ram that down our throats. It's probably going to be like 1,250 episodes or something stupid like that, and everybody's going to forget about this. Or at least until the 30th anniversary 5 years from now. And if things don't start getting better quick, that show ain't going to be any better than this one. I'll tell you that much right now. Thank you so much, you guys. Obviously, I am venting. Obviously, I am angry. If I missed anything, obviously, it was not worth talking about. All the promos in the back, anybody talking shit in the back, who cares? Who cares? Like I said, more happened in the back of the Barclays Center than happened at the Manhattan Center, which is just an absolute crime. It is a crime that they tried to get away with tonight. I don't think they're going to get away with it. I expect there to be some sort of backlash still. You think that crowd went home happy? You think they're going to forget the fact that they sat there bored out of their fucking brains for 3 hours? And they paid $500 or more to do so? When you have people who are guests of the WWE, like the obvious people in the front row, Frank the Clown, and Brock Lesnar guy, you know, these repeatedly known about fans, you know, they're sitting in attendance. I guarantee you they didn't pay to be there. And they're sitting there chanting bullshit. And this sucks. And we want wrestling. That is not at all what I expected out of what went down from the Barclays Center. Jerry the King Lawler, Jim Ross, I looked forward all night to hearing them call the action once again. And I got gypped of that too. And when they were on the air, it's obvious that they were very lackluster in their performance. They were not the King and JR of old. They were sleepy and tired, and there's pictures to prove it. At this point, I probably sound like a broken record because it's just hammering me in the head. And I'm wearing my Dean Ambrose, you know, Ambrose Asylum hat. I'm wearing my Arkham Asylum t-shirt because I feel like I should be in an asylum. I should. This show makes me feel crazy. I was so optimistic. I gave them a chance. They started off great and ended with a big load of crap. We got the Royal Rumble coming up this Sunday, and I'm scared. I'm scared as hell. We are going to have our preview and prediction show on that coming at you guys Friday morning, as usual, before the pay-per-view. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow night for the SmackDown Live review. It has got to be better than this. Thank God it ain't an anniversary of that, or they would have probably ruined that as well. All weekend long, despite my sickness, I did my best to put up a lot of great stuff. We have the Week 2 preview of the Mixed Match Challenge. That is up and live for you. I got a story talking about EC3 possibly showing up this Sunday. Go check that one out. We have a whole bunch of stuff there for you guys and a whole lot more coming at you all week long as we celebrate the arrival of this year's 2018 Royal Rumble. Full coverage right here on Sledgehammer TV. As always, thank you guys so much for joining me. Do not forget to subscribe. I usually ask you guys at the beginning. Hopefully you are still with me by now. And if you are not already a member of the Sledgehammer family and the Sledgehammer Club that we got going on here on Sledgehammer TV, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button right now. Ring that notification bell so that every single time a video goes up just like this one, you will be notified immediately and you can get your eyes on some of the greatest wrestling content who pulls no punches and tells you as it is. I don't even give a shit if it's your 25th birthday. I'll tell you if you're fat and ugly, alright? And Raw tonight was fat and ugly. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Smash that thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, smash it anyway. It'll make me feel good. Share this video with all your wrestling buddies. And do not forget to come back for more. Check out, not Chuck. Clutch is the word. Check is what I was trying to say. And we were going to say Chuck. Chuck out Clutch Chaz. Check out Clutch Chaz down in the description below. Follow me on Twitter at Nick Nightmare. Check us out at Facebook. Follow us on the fan page. Become a fan over there. That's going to be all I'm going to do. That is going to do it. And we are out of here. And we will see you next time. I am Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. And we will see you guys tomorrow night for SmackDown Live.